Hi YouTube family. Today we're going to talk about the narcissist's mask. Now, we all have masks because we don't want to bother people all day long with all of our different feelings that we have and emotions that we experience all day. So we put on a little mask, hey, we're fine, we're good. But a narcissist's mask is far more permanent, if you will, or less temporary than our mask. Their mask is actually used to manipulate, entice, and capture people. It becomes such a big part of them that they cannot separate themselves from their mask. And a lot of times their victims also can't separate them from their mask. And I have a video here of a guy who's going to show you or tell you what he thinks of himself, but it's actually his mask that he's talking about. And the way he talks about it is quite scary.
Leon Jacob can be charming and disarming. Just ask him.
It seems like you're almost some Svengali with this one flick of the finger, just making this woman fall madly in love with you.
Without sounding like a pompous ass, I can only describe it as this. I've always understood women really well, and they've always liked me.
Former FBI profiler and ABC News consultant Brad Garrett says guys like Leon present well.
Yep, they present well. But this guy, at the beginning, I think he's more accurate describing himself. He is an arrogant A. And then he goes on to say how he understands women so well. It's not that he understands women. It's that he knows how to manipulate women. He knows how to mirror what they want or put on a mask of what they need. So if they need someone to listen to their problems, he's there to listen. If they need someone to sweep them off their feet, he'll do that. He's great and romantic. If they want adventure, he's going to be adventurous. And this is actually how he has presented himself to the 3 women that are involved in his court case. And the court case has to do with him hiring a hitman to kill his ex-girlfriend. This is actually a picture of that ex-girlfriend that he tried to have killed. Now, she was in love with him, and then his mask started coming off, and that's why she left him. And the next person you're going to see is about his girlfriend, not his girlfriend, his ex-wife. And she stayed with him for 11 years, even though she did try to get away from him for years. His mask had come off, and he became very violent, during their relationship. So she had to get out. And you'll see some of what she had to deal with.
Leon is somebody that will always be able to get into a relationship because he's willing to put the energy into it on the front end.
But it's the back end of some of Leon's relationships that have been problematic, like this one with his first wife, Annie. But after 11 years, Annie must have had enough crazy. She filed for divorce and would later press charges for aggravated stalking and intimidation. Court documents say he made calls, sent texts, and emails threatening to inflict bodily harm.
And I'm gonna hurt you. I'm gonna hurt your parents right in front of you. Do you understand me?
Attempted cyber harassment is what I pled guilty to. Yes, she went a little overboard with her complaints about me.
So he says that she went a little overboard in the way she complained about him. And yet they have audio of him telling her, yelling, screaming at the top of his lungs at her about how he's going to torture her parents in front of her. And he even goes into detail of how he will dismember them. And it's quite disgusting and very disturbing. He goes into sexual torture as well. Against her parents, and he thinks that she's gone overboard in her complaints against him. This is the real him, the crazy, screaming, mad man. He also is violent with her and would throw her to the ground and throw, their bed mattress on top of her and tell her that's where she's going to sleep. So that is the real him. The mask is what she had fallen in love with.
You know how to talk to women.
Yeah, I do. I respect them very much, and most men don't treat them that way.
He actually thinks that he knows how to talk to women. But what it is, again, is he knows how to manipulate women. He knows what they want to hear. He knows how to get from them what he wants. And what he wants is for them to fall madly in love with him to the point where they think he's their soulmate. And these women, they did. They thought that he was the one. And because his wife even described him as adventurous and fun and so happy, and they were, this was ideal for her. But then as the mask started coming off, she ended up staying with him despite that, because she was ashamed. She was embarrassed to tell anybody, and she was worried that her parents would be worried about her. And that was the reason that she stayed for as long as she did, unfortunately. But here's the thing. This guy, he knows how to manipulate people. He knows how to wear that mask very well. He knows once he's gotten these women that they won't leave. And actually, his second, or the girlfriend after the wife here that you saw earlier, she stayed, I can't remember, for a few years. I don't remember how many. But she did try to go. And that's when he lost it with her. And he would chase her around town, following her and stalking her. And he'd corner her and tell her that she doesn't know what she's giving up, and that he's the best thing that has ever happened to her. He actually thought this of himself, and yet he hired someone to kill her. And he actually doesn't understand that she saw that. She saw that behind his mask. She saw the violent side of him. She knew that she had to get out of that. And yet he was being interviewed at the end of the trial and everything. And he actually said to the reporter, to that day, he still didn't understand why she left him. This is how deranged a narcissist can be. They live in this bizarre reality, or non-reality. It's a fantasy, but it's their reality, where they're charming and they're great. He even described himself as a guy with a heart of gold. He actually said that in the interview. And you just look at this guy and you go, well, a guy with a heart of gold, and a guy who understands women, and a guy who respects women, as he says, would not hire someone to kill the woman, nor would he beat her up, nor would he scream at her and tell her he's going to torture her parents. Well, here's the thing. You have got to get away from people when you start to see their mask come off. Do what you can to get out of there. Sometimes you'll be successful the first time around, but they'll try to pull you back in. But you got to keep trying to get out of there. This is so unhealthy. When you start seeing his mask come off or her mask come off, you start seeing the real them, the temporary part of them, even though it had been there maybe longer, the first several months of your relationship even, is not the real them. The real them is the part that starts to slip behind the mask, and you start to see it. And when you're able to get away from that, you're going to be able to breathe. Oh my gosh, it's going to be such a relief. You wouldn't even realize until you get rid of them or away from them that you've been holding your breath that whole time. So YouTube family, if you can, and when you start to recognize this, you gotta go. I hope this video was helpful, and if you liked it, please subscribe, share, or comment down below. And I will see you later, YouTube family.